I came back without warning after 10 years abroad, and found my father abandoned in a hospital. My stepmother and her favorite children were partying in Dubai with my money. I returned unannounced after 10 years abroad, and found my father abandoned in a hospital. My stepmother and her favorite children were partying in Dubai with my money, cancelled all the cards and sold the family home. Now they're calling me desperate, not knowing they have no home to return to 10 years abroad. 10 years sending money religiously, so my father could have the best medical care. I came back without warning, eager to surprise him. The door was unlocked. The family home reeked. The smell of rotting garbage hit me immediately. Piled up trash, flies, expired medicine, scattered on the floor. "Dad," I said. Silence. "The neighbor saw me from her window. They took your dad away in an ambulance a week ago." "No. One else came back. I found him in a public county hospital, gaunt, scared, with pressure sores on his back." The nurse looked at me with disgust. "You're the son. We've been trying to contact someone for days." I pulled out my cell phone, trembling after almost half an hour of frantically searching social media, tracking down cousins, profiles and tags from mutual friends. I finally found my stepmother's account. Instagram photos, Dubai beaches, cocktails. My heart stopped at a specific photo. My stepbrother posing with a smug grin, wearing the gold watch I had sent Dad for his last birthday. I dialed her number with trembling fingers. "Honey, what a surprise. Bar music in the background? Your father is great. We left him at a luxury spa. I'm with him at the public county hospital." My voice came out ice cold. "Start finishing your cocktails. We need to talk." I hung up. The war had begun. I wasn't going to leave my father in that hellhole of a hospital for one more day. I got him out that same afternoon, but I needed professional help. The nurse who had told me the truth approached me discreetly. "Ana Morales," she said, giving me a card. "I do private care. If you need someone trustworthy for your dad, call me. What they've done to him is unspeakable." I hired her on the spot while I packed his things. On a drop, the bomb I really needed to hear. "No one came to see him all week. Your stepmother simply stopped answering the hospital's calls. I was here when they called 6 times on the first day." The fire in my chest turned into calculating ice. I got home and changed all the locks. My lawyer stopped me over the phone legally. "Until there's a formal eviction, you have to allow them entry. It's their marital home. Underscore it." I gave them a new key, but I already had control. The next day I called the bank that managed the medical trust one had set up for Dad. "I'm the account holder. I need the statements for the last 6 months. In 1 week." The bourgeois Arab luxury restaurants, clothing stores sparse. While my father was soiling himself in a hospital bed, 3 days later, they arrived. Their looks of superiority melted like ice in the sun when they saw me in the living room caring for Dad. "What the underscore are you doing here?" My stepmother had a tan and salon-perfect hair. "This is my house, it's Dad's house, and mine," legally kept my voice calm. "Welcome." My older stepbrother, the one with the stolen watch, looked at me with contempt. "You should have told us you were coming. Like you should have told us you were going on vacation while Dad was dying alone." The silence was delicious. The forced cohabitation was a calculated hell. They didn't know that every day they spent there, every cruel comment, every bit of neglect towards Dad that I witnessed was another bullet in my arsenal. On it turned out to be my avenging angel. A week after the parasites returned, she pulled me aside. "Look, what I have." She took out a worn notebook. She had been documenting everything for months. Dates, times, medicines they didn't give him, times they left him in his own filth. I flipped through the pages. It was devastating, detailed, irrefutable. "And this," she showed me her phone. "I recorded some conversations when they thought no one was around." I pressed play, my stepmother's voice. "The old man is worse every day. At least when he dies, we won't have to pretend anymore." My stepbrother's voice. "We've already gotten what we could. The idiot's son keeps sending money like clockwork." Anna looked at me intently. "Your dad is a good man. This isn't right." I showed everything to my lawyer. His eyes lit up like a shark smelling blood. "With this you destroy them. Criminal negligence, embezzlement, abuse of a dependent." He closed the folder. "What do you want to do?" "I want them to lose everything legally can be done, but you need something more solid for the marital assets." That night, Dad had one of his moments of lucidity. He grabbed my arm with surprising strength. "My safe," he whispered. "Your birthday." The agreement, the old safe, was in his closet. Combination was my date of birth As I turned the dial, I remembered a conversation from years ago after a friend of his lost everything in a divorce. A man must always protect himself. Son, he had told me, especially from those he lets into his home. Paper doesn't forget. People do. Inside found the house documents, some of my mother's jewelry, and a manila envelope that said important marriage. Prenuptial agreement was 20 pages long. I read it 3 times to make sure I understood every word. There it was on page 14, clause 7. 3. In the event of proven negligence towards the ailing spouse, the negligent party will forfeit all rights to alimony, marital property, any financial benefits derived from the marital union. My father had been smarter than I thought. Even with early onset dementia, he had thought to protect himself. My stepmother had no idea what she had signed years ago. The next few days were pure theater. I let them behave as they always did, cruel, negligent, arrogant. Anna and I documented every interaction, every sneer, every time they ignored Dad's needs. Why don't you just get lost already? My stepmother screamed at me one night. You've done your duty by coming to see the old man go back to your failed life abroad. I'm staying as long as necessary, I replied, recording everything on my phone. You're pathetic. Just like him, she said, pointing at Dad with disgust. At least when he dies, we won't have to keep pretending we care. My stepbrother laughed. 10 years sending money for nothing. You should have invested in an education. Maybe then you'd stop being such a loser. Every word was pure gold. For my case, Anna watched me build my arsenal in silence. One night, she asked me what's going to happen to them. They are going to pay for every day of suffering they caused my father. And then I smiled for the first time in weeks. Then they're going to beg for a mercy they will not receive. I had the evidence. I had the prenuptial agreement. I had medical documentation of the negligence. I had recordings of their own mouths confessing their crimes. The only thing missing was choosing the perfect moment to unleash hell. That moment was approaching. The first blow was surgical. My lawyer called my stepmother on Monday morning. I was in the kitchen making breakfast for Dad when I heard her voice go up 3 octaves. What do you mean? Frozen. That money is for my husband. She ran out of her room with the phone glued to her ear, hysterical, an investigation for improper expenses. This is ridiculous. His wife. I looked at her from the table, patiently feeding my father oatmeal. I didn't say a word. I demand to speak with the trustee right now. She screamed into the phone. You can't do this. She hung up and looked at me with pure hatred. It was you, son of a underscore. It was you. I don't know what you're talking about. I kept feeding Dad, spoonful of oatmeal, any financial trouble. Her hands were shaking with rage perfectly. What you did? I only asked for the statements from the trust one created myself. As the account holder, I have that, right? Don't I? Her face turned the color of ash. Only then did she understand that she had never been in control of that money. My stepbrothers arrived at night like hungry hyenas. They cornered me in the kitchen while I was washing the dinner dishes. Give us back access, you parasite. The older one blocked my exit. That money belongs to us. We took care of the old man all these years. The younger one got closer. You took off like a coward. I slipped my hand into my pocket and activated the recorder. Interesting perspective. Don't play smart. We know it was you who froze the account. And what if it was? I looked them in the eyes. What are you going to do? Hit me. The older one clenched his fists. Don't tempt us. Do it. My voice was ice cold. Go on. Hit the son who came to take care of his abandoned father. While I'm recording it, they stopped dead in their tracks when they saw my phone in my hand. Now you have a problem with cameras. Weird considering how much you love photos in Dubai. They left muttering threats. Honor, who had heard everything from Dad's room, looked at me with approval. They're desperate. She whispered. Yesterday, I heard them talking about selling her mother's jewelry or biological mother's jewelry. That is on Wednesday. The counterattack came. My stepmother had done something I didn't expect. She called social services. The social worker showed up at 10 a.m., an older woman serious with a face that had seen it all. My stepmother greeted her with perfectly rehearsed crocodile tears. Thank you for coming. I'm so worried about my husband. She clutched her chest dramatically. His son arrived out of nowhere and practically kidnapped him. He has him abandoned in his room. He won't let him out. He doesn't give him his medicine. The social worker looked around. The house was spotless. I had spent 2 weeks cleaning up the mess they had left. Where is the gentleman now? In his room? His son won't let me see him more tears. I think he wants to kill him to get his inheritance. I see the woman jotted something down. May I speak with you, young man? I came out of Dad's room where I was helping him with his physical therapy exercises. Anna followed me. Good morning. I'm the son who came from abroad to care for my father. His stepmother says you have him kidnapped and abandoned. Interesting accusation. I pulled a folder from my desk. Would you like to see the medical report from the hospital where I found my father 3 weeks ago? Her eyes widened as she read. Severe malnutrition. Pressure sores. Banned him in for 9 days. This is Anna, his private nurse. Anna, could you show her your log? Anna handed her the notebook. The social worker read page after page of documented negligence. And these audios. I played the first one. My stepmother's voice filled the room. The old man is worse every day. At least when he dies, we won't have to pretend anymore. The woman turned pale. Is there more? I have hours of material. I showed her the bank statements. In 1 week, the Burj Al Era, while my father was dying alone in a public hospital, my stepmother had been listening from the kitchen. She stormed in like a fury. Those recordings are illegal. They're worthless. Ma'am, the social worker stood up. I need to speak with your husband immediately. We found Dad in his clean room. Well, fed with honor, helping him do a crossword puzzle. The difference from the man I had found in the hospital was night and day. How are you feeling? Sir? Dad looked at her with eyes clearer than I had seen in weeks. My son came back. He takes good care of me. Your wife was taking care of you before. Dad followed his brow, confused her. No. She went on a trip with the boys a long time. The social worker was writing furiously. When we left the room, her expression was like steel. Ma'am, I am the one who will be opening an investigation for gross negligence. Your son is not kidnapping anyone. You abandoned a man with dementia for 9 days to go on vacation with money that wasn't yours. The color drained from my stepmother's face. That's not true. I have medical documentation, testimonies, recordings, and financial evidence. You'll be lucky if criminal charges aren't filed when the social worker left. The silence in the house was deadly. My stepbrothers looked at their mother as if she were radioactive. Criminal charges, the younger one whispered. Shut up! My stepmother went to her room and slammed the door that night, tended to go to sleep early. At 2 a.m. heard movement in her room. I crept out silently and saw her through the crack in the door. She had all her jewelry spread out on the bed, hers, the one she had bought with Dad's money and others. I recognized immediately, biological mother's, pearl necklace. Dad had given her on their anniversary, the diamond earrings from her wedding. She was separating them into piles, obviously deciding what she could sell. Her hands trembled as she held my mother's engagement ring. I have no choice. I heard her mother. I have no other choice. She left a pawnshop receipt on her nightstand. On my phone, the zoom captured the details perfectly. 18K gold necklace with pearls, $500. They had already started selling my dead mother's jewelry to fund their crisis. On Thursday morning my phone wouldn't stop ringing. It was my stepmother again and again and again. I didn't answer a single call. Finally, she sent me a text. We need to talk. It's important. I replied tomorrow. Family meeting, 7 p.m. main living room. My lawyer has a proposal. Her response came in seconds. Proposal, a way out for everyone. All day Friday, the tension was so thick. You could cut it with a knife. My stepbrothers wouldn't speak to me. I heard them constantly whispering with their mother. Annette kept me informed of their movements. They're packing. She told me while helping Dad with his lunch, not everything, but they're selecting things. Are they leaving? I don't know. But they're preparing for something. At 6:30 my lawyer arrived with a thick folder under his arm. He had that shark-like grin. I was starting to love everything ready. He asked me everything documented, recorded, and signed. Perfect. What the most beautiful thing about this case is. What that they dug their own grave, every text message, every improper expense, every audio where they confessed their negligence. We've left nothing to chance at 7 p.m. sharp. My stepmother and her 2 sons came down to the living room like condemned prisoners walking to the gallows. She had been crying. Her eyes were swollen and red. My lawyer said, opening his folder, "Let's talk about your future." The silence was so thick. I could hear my own heartbeat. Anna was with Dad in his room, but I knew she was listening too. I have a very simple proposal. My lawyer placed a stack of documents on the table. You can sign this and walk away with something, or we can go to trial, and you walk away with nothing. My stepmother shaky approached the papers. What is this? A separation agreement based on Clause 7.3 of the prenuptial agreement you signed years ago. Her face completely fell. What? My lawyer smiled. You don't remember signing a 20-page document before getting married. Page 14, Clause 7.3. Your husband was very prescient. That's when she understood it was all over, not just access to the money, not just a comfortable life. Everything. Proven negligence towards the ailing spouse. My lawyer read aloud results in a total loss of spousal rights, alimony. Any financial benefit derived from the union. Tears began to roll down her cheeks. How much time do we have for what her voice broke completely to leave? My stepmother sat on the edge of the sofa, trembling, hands clasped together. Her red eyes gave her away. She had been crying all afternoon. Let's be reasonable. She began, her voice cracking. This has all been a misunderstanding. I love your father. I've always taken care of him. My lawyer cut her off sharply. The time for being reasonable ended when you left a sick man lying in a public hospital for 9 days to go on vacation to Dubai. He placed the prenuptial agreement on the coffee table, with a thought. According to Clause 7.3, for proven negligence towards the ailing spouse, you lose all spousal rights. He then pulled out a thick folder. Here is all the proof we need. That's not valid. The older stepbrother muttered, that document is from years ago. Signed before a notary and completely valid. My lawyer grinned like a shark. Want to see the evidence? He pulled out the hospital report. Severe malnutrition. Pressure sores. Proven abandonment. Then Anna's journal, a detailed log of months of negligence with dates, times and omitted medications. My stepmother turned pale. That woman had it in for us. And this, my lawyer connected his phone to a speaker, is the most interesting part of all. My stepmother's voice filled the room. The old man is worse every day. At least when he dies, we won't have to pretend anymore. The silence that followed was so thick. You could chew it. My younger stepbrother stared at his mother in horror. There was more. My lawyer played the next audio. I wish the old man would just lose his mind completely, so he'd stop being a bother. I'm so sick of his nonsense. My stepmother covered her face with her hands. I didn't. That was taken out of context. I looked directly at her. What's the context for wishing your sick husband would completely lose his mind? Her sons began to back away from her as if she were radioactive. This is your fault. The older one yelled at her. You told me we could use the money. You said he would never find out. I didn't tell you to abandon the old man, he yelled back. That was your decision. Shut up, both of you. The younger one was crying. This is all a disaster because of you two. They were tearing each other apart like rabid dogs. It was beautiful to watch. I stood up slowly. The movement silenced them all. It's over. I took out my phone and showed them the photo. I had secretly taken the receipt from the pawn shop. 18K gold necklace with pearls, $3,500. I looked at the older stepbrother. Sound familiar? His face fell. How? It was my mother's, my biological mother, the woman who gave birth to the son you've despised for 10 years. My voice was like ice. You didn't just steal money. You sold the memories of a dead woman. My stepmother tried to speak. We needed the money for what? Tell me, what did you need the money for my dead mother's jewelry for? She didn't answer. She couldn't. Any answer would sink her deeper. I turned to the older stepbrother. You're going to go get that necklace back now with your own money. You have 1 hour. With what money? His voice came out as a squeak. I don't have any money. That's your problem. I took out my phone. 1 hour or the next person to arrive will be a police officer. Aggravated theft from a dependent person. Do you know how many years that is? He ran out like a scared rat. The slam of the door shook the house. I turned to the other two. A moving truck will be here in 60 minutes. 1 suitcase each. The rest will be sold to replace the money you stole from the trust. My stepmother fell to her knees. Please don't do this. Where will we go? Not my problem. I looked down at her. Start packing. Now, you can't kick us out. This is my house. It was not anymore. My lawyer handed her the papers. Activation of the negligence clause. Total loss of rights to marital property. The house reverts completely to its original owner. I pointed to the stairs. 55 minutes and counting. My stepmother didn't move. She just stayed on her knees crying. You promised my father you would take care of him. I said he gave you everything, a roof, security, future, and you traded it for a trip to Dubai. My voice became pure steel. You reap what you sow. I sat in Dad's armchair and watched them run around the house like rats on a sinking ship. The younger stepbrother was going up and down the stairs carrying clothes. My stepmother was packing her things while sobbing hysterically. This can't be happening. She screamed, 10 years of marriage. 10 years taking care of him. You lied, I said, without looking up from my watch. Bank statements proved that money was used for everything except taking care of him. Restaurants, trips, clothes, spas. And when he needed you most, you abandoned him. Anna appeared at the doorway with Dad in his wheelchair. He watched the chaos with confused but clearer eyes than he'd had in weeks. What's happening? He asked in a weak voice. They're leaving, Dad. They're not going to bother you anymore. For a moment, perfect lucidity crossed his eyes. They're leaving for good. He nodded slowly. Good. I never liked them. It was the most lucid sentence he had spoken in months. Truck arrived on time. 3 workers began to load the few suitcases. They had packed. My stepmother tried to stuff in more things. 1 suitcase, I reminded her. The rest stays to repair the damage you did. Those are my things bought with stolen money. Technically, they're evidence. At that moment, my older step-brother arrived with a small bag in his hand. He approached with his head down like a beaten dog. Here it is, he muttered, handing me the bag. Inside was my mother's pearl necklace, intact. Beautiful. A piece of her I thought was lost forever. How much did it cost you to get it back? For $1,000. $500 more than they gave. You had to borrow. His silence confirmed it. I stood up from the armchair. The 3 of them were standing by the truck with their pathetic suitcases. A decade of comfortable living reduced to 3 bags of clothes. My stepmother made one last attempt. Your father is going to be all alone. Is that what you want, for him to die abandoned? He won't be alone. I put my hand on Anna's shoulder. He has a real caregiver, and he has me. You'll leave again. Like you always do. I stayed abroad for 10 years sending money so he would be taken care of. Now I'm staying here to take care of him myself. Her eyes widen. You're staying forever. In the house I bought with my money to protect him. The house you are no longer a part of. My younger stepbrother started to cry. And us? Where are we going to live? Get jobs, rent something. Do what normal people who don't live like parasites do. My stepmother looked at me with pure hatred. You're going to regret this. No. I looked at her one last time. The only thing I regret is not doing this sooner. I closed the door as the truck drove away. Anna had taken Dad back to his room. The house was in a perfect silence for the first time in weeks. I sat in the living room armchair with my mother's necklace in my hands. 10 years of guilt, 10 years of sending money, religiously, 10 years of trusting they would keep their word. And in the end, justice had arrived in the most poetic way possible through their own actions, their own words, their own stupid decisions. They had dug their own grave. I had only handed them the shovels. It's been 8 months since I kicked them out of the house. I sold the family property for more than I expected. Every cent went directly to securing the best spot for Dad at Gardens of Memory, the most exclusive care center in the city. He has a private room with a garden view, specialized nurses 2,047, and activities designed for his condition. On his nightstand is the gold watch. I recovered the one that had belonged to my grandfather, then Dad, and which those wretches sold for pocket change. Now it shines in a natural light that streams through his window. My stepmother ended up exactly where she deserved, penniless, abandoned by her own sons who blame her for the disaster, living off the charity of a distant cousin. Social services opened a formal investigation for negligence. Her lawyer told her she has no possible defense with all the evidence I presented. 3 weeks ago I found out from Anna that she's cleaning rooms at a roadside motel on the outskirts of the city. The same kind of job she used to despise when talking about people with no ambition. The letter arrived 2 weeks ago, 5 pages of pathetic excuses, empty promises of change and desperate pleas for mercy. I never wanted to hurt your father. A lie. The expenses got out of my control, but I always took care of him with love. I used it as kindling for the fireplace in my new apartment. While I drank my coffee, Dad is better. He's not going to get his condition, doesn't work that way, but he's calm, clean, well-fed. He smiles when he sees me. Sometimes he recognizes me completely during our conversations. Yesterday he grabbed my hand and said, "Thank you for saving me, son." Those 4 words were worth every second of the hell I put them through. I've completely reorganized my life. I work from home now consulting for international companies. I live 15 minutes from Dad's center. I visit him every day. I bring him old photos, read him, the newspaper help him with his memory exercises. I'm getting back 10 lost years, 10 years in which I blindly trusted traitors, while he faded away in the hands of people who saw him as a burden. Justice is sweet. No, that's not it. What's sweet is seeing Dad safe, cared for by people who genuinely care about him. What's sweet is knowing they will never hurt him again. Sometimes I wonder if I was too ruthless. Then I remember the picture from Dubai with Dad's stolen watch, the audio clips mocking his illness, the 9 days he was abandoned in the hospital. I wasn't too ruthless. I was exactly what I needed to be. So read it honestly. Did I go too far by leaving them with literally nothing? Or does the abandonment of a vulnerable parent justify completely erasing the traitors from your life?